Afghanistan gehört nach wie vor zu den frauenfeindlichsten und gefährlichsten Ländern der Welt. Das hat meinen heutigen Gast nicht davon abgehalten, mit gerade mal 23 Jahren in Herat ihre eigene Softwarefirma zu gründen. Sie tat das so erfolgreich, dass sie 2 Jahre später vom Time Magazine zu den 100 einflussreichsten Personen der Welt gezählt wurde. Heute ist sie bei uns. Ich freue mich sehr. Herzlich willkommen, Roya Mahboob.
Thank you for having me here.
Sie waren gerade mal 15 Jahre alt, als Sie das erste Mal vor einem Computer saßen und sich einloggten ins Internet. Wie kamen Sie eigentlich an diesen Rechner ran?
Well, I always heard about the book. I heard about computer in the books, but at the age of 16, actually, I heard that there is internet cafe was open up in Herat, and only my cousin and brothers could go there, and it wasn't appropriated for a girl go to internet club. And at that time, I was heard that this is a magic box that connects you with the world, and you can talk with the people, and you can find any information you wanted. And I was really wanted to see this magic box. And I was insisted that I wanted to go to this internet cafe. And of course, my brothers at the beginning didn't want it. But later on, I could convince them. And I could go to this internet cafe, and for the first time when I was using the internet and computer, and I found out that there is another world that exists that I didn't know about it. We lived at that time in the darkness. We didn't have access to any information or books or anything, or any news. We didn't know what's going on in the world. Whatever we saw, it was only in the TV that we could see.
Also es gab Fernsehen, aber keine Bücher.
Yes, but there is only one library in Herat that was very old books, and there was no any updated information. And there was TV in Afghanistan that will only show the shows and the news that my father and brothers wanted to see. And we couldn't really have that access to anything outside of that. And I think that was, when I see that, it was so magic box for me. And I just really wanted to make the technology to be center of my career.
Nur 10 Jahre später wurden Sie vom Time Magazine, ich habe es schon erwähnt, unter die 100 einflussreichsten Persönlichkeiten gewählt. Da hat man ja wirklich das Gefühl, diese Begegnung mit dem Computer, das war eine wirklich nachhaltige Begegnung.
I think so. I mean, I had a journey that it's changed my life when when I saw the computer, it's changed my personal life and also my professional life. I decided to go to the computer science faculty and graduated from there. And I saw that how it's make me powerful as a person and give me a confidence. And that's why I wanted to giving back to the community and training other girls. So I was becoming also tech entrepreneur, and Time Magazine honored me to be one of the 100 most influential people.
Afghanistan gilt immer noch als eines der frauenfeindlichsten Länder der Welt, 2. Platz gemäß gewissen Reporten. Gleichzeitig Ihre Familie hat Sie immer unterstützt, oder? Das verstehe ich richtig.
Yes, my family were very supportive of me, and the family is very important, play an important role in the success of a woman in such conservative countries like Afghanistan. And thanks God, I had a father who supported me and believed me in the whole way of my schools and my university and also my career. So I'm really thankful to the God to have such a family.
Und auch heute sind Sie zum Beispiel Ihrer Schwester und einem Ihrer Brüder, Sie haben 6 Geschwister, sind Sie eng verbunden. Das neueste Projekt, das Sie eben erst angefangen haben, ist gemeinsam mit einer Ihrer Schwestern. Und zwar haben Sie sich da was ganz Spezielles ausgedacht. Sie importieren nämlich Kaffee aus Zentralamerika und wollen ihn vermischen mit Saffran, den Sie in Afghanistan anpflanzen lassen. Erzählen Sie ein bisschen mehr davon.
Sure, it's a project that we started almost 2 years ago, but I mean, recent year we worked mostly on the coffee formula, and the idea is to helping the women and the farmers in Afghanistan, especially with the saffron. And we decided to bring the saffron to the U.S., but we couldn't find that many customers, so we decided to mix it with some things. And it was first with the tea, but it wasn't popular in U.S. that much. But then we decided to combine with the coffee. And we worked for a while on the coffee, and right now we created a good formula and good products called Bright Citizen. And the idea is to help and supporting the women, and the percentage of 50% of the profits goes back to the foundation that we can help to women and train them, and also buying the saffron from the female farmers. and we are hopeful that saffron can be replaced with opium in the future.
Was meinen Sie damit genau, dass man das ersetzen kann? Sie wollen nicht irgendwann einen Kaffee mit Opium drin oder so etwas, sondern Sie wollen die Opiumfarmen durch Saffranfarmen ersetzen, wenn ich das richtig verstanden habe, weil Sie auch sagen, eigentlich auf dem Weltmarkt haben die beiden Produkte einen ähnlichen Preis, beides extreme Luxusprodukte, kostbare Produkte.
Exactly. And Afghanistan, you know, that is one of the countries producing the most opium in the world. And unfortunately, the international donors and the governments work a long time to convincing the farmers to replacing their farms with some things be expensive and also be in the same prices that they make it so fast in cash. And saffron was one of that. And fortunately, we have a good quality of saffron, especially in the West, in Herat. And most of the farmers right now replace it, and they can make money faster. And it's also as inexpensive as the opium. So, but what we are looking for is that to making governments is working on that to make the saffron in whole of Afghanistan, that the most farmers and more farmers are trying to convince them to be replacing the opium with the saffron.
Und wann werde ich diesen Kaffee trinken können?
I will send you some samples soon.
Ich bin sehr gespannt. Ich stelle mir das speziell vor, diese Mischung aus den beiden Geschmäckern von Kaffee und Saffran. Gehen wir noch einmal ein bisschen zurück in Ihre Geschichte. Sie haben gesagt, dass Ihre Familie sehr wichtig gewesen ist für Sie. Sie haben ja auch nicht immer in Afghanistan gelebt. Ihre Familie ist geflohen, als Sie ein kleines Kind waren, während des sowjetisch-afghanischen Krieges, und zwar via Pakistan in den Iran. Und da haben Sie auch die meiste Zeit Ihrer Kindheit verbracht. Blicken wir gemeinsam ganz kurz zurück in der Geschichte Afghanistans.
Die leidvolle neuere Geschichte des Landes beginnt 1973 mit einem Militärputsch. General Daoud wird 5 Jahre später selber in einem pro-sowjetischen Coup gestürzt. 1979 marschieren sowjetische Truppen ein, um die Kommunisten in Afghanistan an der Macht zu halten. Im islamisch geprägten Staat lehnen viele die kommunistische Herrschaft ab. Die Mudschedin nehmen den bewaffneten Kampf auf und werden von den USA und weiteren Ländern unterstützt. Die Sowjets ziehen 1998 ab, doch der Bürgerkrieg geht weiter. 1996 nehmen die Taliban Kabul ein und unterwerfen 2/3 des Landes ihrer brutalen Version des Islam. 2001, als Antwort auf 9/11, bombardieren die USA Afghanistan, das Land, in dem sich Erzfeind Osama bin Laden versteckt hält. Zusammen mit ihren NATO-Verbündeten marschieren die amerikanischen Streitkräfte schließlich in Kabul ein. Doch weder der NATO noch den USA oder den afghanischen Sicherheitskräften gelang es seither, die Situation im Land zu stabilisieren. Mehr als 2,5 Millionen Flüchtlinge treiben diese Kriege über die Grenzen. Im Land selber leben nochmals fast 1,5 Millionen Menschen als Vertriebene, geflüchtet vor den Kampfhandlungen. 2016 war gar ein trauriges Rekordjahr. Über 11.000 Zivilisten werden getötet, die meisten durch die Taliban. Sicherheitschecks heute in Kabul. Die Hauptstadt ist der gefährlichste Ort im Land. Doch auch in den zerklüfteten Bergen und Tälern lauert weiter die Gefahr. Viele Gebiete, die bereits gesäubert waren, werden wieder neu vermint durch die Taliban.
Sie sind 2003 zurückgekehrt nach Afghanistan, als Teenager damals. Was war das für ein Land, in das Sie zurückgekehrt sind?
Well, I think that in 2003, when we back to Afghanistan, still the Taliban culture, still was existed with the people, and but there was also hope exists at the time. That we can go to the school, we can go to the university, and many of the women were, my age at the time, the girls were so excited about that. Many of them were at the home for a long time, and the school was opening for them, so it was a source of hope and source of the, in a way that they can imagine a better future for themselves. So, we didn't have that much infrastructure at the time of 2003, and there were still Most of the families refuse to send their girls to the schools, but with the time, many of the things has been changed, and we have a lot of progress if we compare with today with 2003.
2004 hat der damalige US-Präsident George Bush den Sieg gegen die Taliban erklärt. Trotzdem ist es ja nach wie vor so, dass 2/3 des Landes von den Taliban beherrscht werden. Von Pakistan her drängt der IS in das Land. Es gibt unglaublich viele geopolitische, strategische Überlegungen, wer das Land jetzt wirklich beherrschen soll. Die Wahlen werden immer wieder verschoben. Die Sicherheitslage ist schwierig. Haben Sie die Hoffnung, dass Afghanistan sich in den nächsten Jahren noch einmal öffnen wird und wirklich verändern wird in die Richtung, in die die jungen Menschen das gerne öffnen würden?
Of course, we are hope because Afghanistan is a young population. As half of the population are under the age of 18. So I think that we are hope for the future. And I understand that today we have some difficulties with the current situation with politics and with our neighbors who interfere in our politics, in our stability. And but with the time, they have to understand that if Afghanistan be unstable, it's also affected their countries and their people. And it's better that they have helped and cooperated with our governments to have a stable country. And unfortunately, but I have to say that there are lots of also good things that's happening, a lot of progress also happening, which media is not showing that part. Yes, Afghanistan, still we have war, still there is some insecurity in the capital of the country, but there are lots of things also happening. Comparing with 2003, 2002, we have 37% of the population of the school are female. We have more than 30% of female students in university. We have a lot of the women as a policymaker, as a ministers, and as leaders. We have a lot of female who start their own startups. So we have hospital today, we have a lot of routes created and a lot of schools built, which media or I don't know, the Western's thinking is not showing that. There is a life exists there. Yes, I agree that there is some security problem exists. There are challenges exist, and unfortunately, the Taliban culture is still in some south of the provinces in Afghanistan exists. But I think with the time, everything will be changed because we are a new generation and the new generation don't want the past.
Es gibt einen Bericht der Reuters Foundation, die behauptet, dass Afghanistan das zweitgefährlichste Land sei für Frauen. Nicht nur auf der Straße, sondern eben auch zu Hause, weil zum Beispiel häusliche Gewalt nicht strafbar ist. An erster Stelle steht Indien. Würden Sie sagen, das ist komplett übertrieben und auch eine Verzerrung der Tatsachen?
Unfortunately, the law of the violence against the women is not passed by Parliament because of a few things that they don't like it, and the problem is with that is not only men don't like men doing that, but also the women supported these things. And yes, there is a violence against the women exist, and we cannot ignore that, and we cannot say that it is not true. It is true, and but the good thing that's happening today is that there is a media and social media, and they're covering the stories, and they're forcing the governments, forcing the law to take an action. And thanks to the media, many of the cases is solved, and there is also international community who working and forcing the governments to taking places. And today, if you see the records of the women in the violence, because today every report is mentioning. In the past, there was a lot of violence, but there was no one talk about that. But today is talking about it. And I think that talking is helping the government and also the people to be, and also our policymaker to take this as a serious. And
ich glaube, hier sind wir genau an einem Punkt, wo Sie noch einmal ganz deutlich machen, die sozialen Medien können extrem viel zum Guten wenden. Es kann zu einem Freiheitsraum werden, das Internet. Und da fällt mir ein Beispiel ein, und wir haben einen kurzen Einspieler vorbereitet der Rapperin Sonita, die hätte zwangsverheiratet werden sollen und sich auf ihre Weise gewehrt hat. Wir zeigen auch im Anschluss an unser Gespräch ein Filmporträt über Sonita, aber hören wir ganz kurz zu.
Das Video macht sie auf einen Schlag weltberühmt.
Es war eine schwierige Entscheidung, das Video auf YouTube zu stellen. Ich fürchtete mich vor den Reaktionen in Afghanistan und speziell jener meiner Familie. Aber ich sagte mir, ich muss es tun, selbst wenn ich mir damit schade.
The target you emailed این گفته so good خیلی خوب.
Glücklicherweise hatte ich sofort viele Fans. Als meine Mutter mich anrief, sagte sie, sie fände den Song gut. Sie war zwar nicht wirklich glücklich darüber, aber dennoch, für mich war das der größte Wandel in meinem Leben.
Sie kennen Sonita persönlich?
Yes, I know her.
Und diese Geschichte, die zeigt ja genau das, was Sie vorhin gesagt haben. Die sozialen Medien verändern viel. Es wird ein neues Afghanistan-Bild verbreitet und das wiederum wird auch Druck ausüben auf gewisse Einstellungen, von denen Sie denken, die sind nicht mehr zeitgemäß. Einstellungen, die vor allem auch für Frauen eine Gefährdung bedeuten.
I think that social media has been changed a lot of things, not only for the women, but also for the politicians. And we make our governments be more transparent. And there are many of the cases that with the corruption or with the violence against of the women that I could see today that when it's coming to social media, many of the people react positive and they are supporting the women and they disagree with the people who forcing the woman, and I have to say that in a few years ago it wasn't the case, but today I can see that in many of the comments, men especially started to supporting, and they say that it should be stopped, and it's good, and I think this is a positive thing that is happening. And example like Sonita's showing to, and with this rapping and the songs, many of the people understand and they get it. And it should be, I think that with the education and with the time we can overcome of these challenges. And unfortunately, we don't have this magic to make this happening very fast. In big cities, we see that a lot of changes is happening, but in smaller city, still, and the provinces and rural areas, still there is a lot of the violence exist.
Und diese Kombination Bildung und Digitalisierung, das ist eigentlich Ihr großes Thema. Wenn wir noch einmal auf Ihre Biografie zu sprechen kommen. Sie haben 2010 dann Ihr eigenes Unternehmen gegründet. Man muss sich das mal vorstellen, Sie waren so jung, haben Informatik studiert in Herat und da gingen Sie hin und haben die Afghan Citadel Software Company gegründet mit Ihrer Schwester und ich glaube auch noch mit Studienkolleginnen eine Softwarefirma und haben unter anderem sehr schnell verschiedene Unternehmen beraten, Regierungen beraten, NGOs beraten. Wie muss man sich diesen Alltag vorstellen? Damals noch war es eben nicht so klar, dass eine Frau zum Beispiel sich mit einem Mann gemeinsam an einen Tisch setzen kann, der nicht ihr Bruder ist und nicht ihr Ehemann.
At the time when we started the Afghan Software, we were one of the first female tech CEOs, and it wasn't easy welcome by very male-dominated industries that female companies come and they say that they can do the contracts. And of course that there was a lot of challenges and obstacles still exist, but that time was a lot. And for us to hire women and then to work and working with a contractor like US contractor or for the government. And but all of those challenges, that how we overcome of those challenges, again, it's helped me with the digitalization and becoming as a tech entrepreneur, digital tech entrepreneur. There was a time that it wasn't safe to continue to working as a contractor. It wasn't safe to go outside, and it wasn't safe for my employees to work and say that they're working as in these contracts or this company. And at that time, I just found out that how I can become finding my clients and not rely on the border of a country that some people can make a decision for my life and for my company. And that's why the beauty of the social media, I got LinkedIn, and I was registered there and started to finding my clients there. And then later on, Francesco Rulli, who is my first investors, funded me.
Ist ein italienischer Philanthrop, ja?
Yes, Italian Americans who lives in New York, and he found me through the LinkedIn, and he asked me to work for his company, and we got one contract. And later on, he started to invest in our idea of building a online platform to help the women to have a voice, and they can write blogs and they're talking about their stories, and they can also get paid for the content that they provide, and that's how everything has been shifted for me,
Trotzdem haben Sie auch Morddrohungen erhalten und irgendwann ging es für Sie auch nicht mehr und Sie sind nach New York gezogen.
Yes, because at that time when we started to using our revenue to building the IT center, we started to train the girls about how to work with the computer and how technology can change their lives, and most importantly, get their self-confidence and have a digital voice to talk about the stuff that they cannot talk. We created an environment that they don't need to identify their ID, but they can, using anonymous ID, and talk about the stuff that they are forced to keep it and hide it. And that was created a lot of challenges for me. And
darf ich ganz kurz unterbrechen, weil mich das interessiert? Sie haben gesagt, eine digitale Stimme erhalten. Meinen Sie damit auch, dass das Netz ein Raum ist, der vor allem einfach sehr viel mehr Publikum hat? Oder geht es auch darum, dass man anonym sprechen kann im Netz?
It's both of that. We have an internet with a lot of audience and users, and then someone is talking about stuff that they are forced to for many long time to not talk about that. And for women, when you cannot talk, even if sometimes you're in such very conservative countries, you can't even talk about your personal feeling with your close friends and families because you're afraid that someone's probably take this to your family, and you will have a coincidence because of what you feel and what you wanted to talk. But then we're giving this platform to the girls to talk about that. They could write about anything they wanted and anything they dreamed, and it was open, and they could see that people reacted on their stories or their talk, and they're not afraid that if they talk and someone is someone is threat them or not let them to talk, but that was a platform that they can openly talk about it, anything they want. And later on, you could see that they get self-confidence. Once they started talking, they can get that self-confidence, and they can start to talk openly, and they don't need it to be avoided that.
Das ist wahnsinnig interessant, was Sie erzählen. Und zwar interessiert mich das deswegen so sehr, weil ich denke, wir sprechen in dem Land, in dem ich lebe, vor allem darüber, dass das Internet ein Ort ist, in dem wir überwacht werden, dass wir gerade nicht offen sprechen sollen, weil wir nie wissen, wer dann die Daten alle sieht. Und Sie erzählen jetzt quasi, die Familie, die Privatsphäre ist der Ort, wo Überwachung gilt, wo man nicht weiß, welche Information wohin geht, währenddessen das Internet der Raum der Freiheit ist.
I mean, what I'm talking about is not only the family. Sometimes the community also doesn't want to hear you, and they don't want to. For some certain of the stuff, they are reacting very badly. So that's why the digitalization and helping giving the women at least a digital voice to talk about whatever they wanted. And at that time, we built that platform for women to allow them to feel freely and secure whatever they wanted to talk about that. But I'm coming back to your point is that yes, half of the population still don't have access, and if they have we're providing them an access to the information, and they can talk. But there is also a problem for Western that if they have access, but there is problem with their privacy, with their democracy, and these are the problems that exist that we needed to taking care. That I will come back to that questions. That today I am part of the rising leaders called the New Now, that we are partnering with I forgot the names with Tom Berners-Lee and his web foundations to call for contracts to create the web a safe place for everybody, that they can feel secure there. And of course, that there is challenging with becoming a digitalization, but for Western. But if you come back to the countries, the conservative countries, they don't have such access. I think that digitalization is give the woman to leave a world that behind of the border that they always known.
Das ist so interessant, was Sie erzählen. Tim Berners-Lee, sozusagen der Erfinder des Internet oder der Vater des Internets, wie viele sagen, war auch schon zu Gast bei uns. Und ich kann mich sehr gut erinnern, wie sehr er gesagt hat, das Internet ist der Raum der Freiheit. Und wenn wir das verraten, dann ist etwas grundsätzlich schiefgegangen mit unserer Idee, die wir einmal hatten. Und Sie stehen eigentlich hier als eine neue Generation für mich von Frauen, die sagen, ja, aber genau das kann das Internet immer noch sein, ein Raum der Freiheit.
Yes. And also, it's a freedom, but also with the freedom, there is also responsibility that we have to take it. And I think that for the countries like us, it's the best tools that the governments also get responsibility to giving access to everybody to have and building the infrastructure that the people can use it. And I think that for the companies is responsibility to make it affordable cost that the people can have access easily to the internet. And also for the companies, another responsibility is that they have to taking care of the private data and personal data that you mentioned, that you are careful about what you are saying in the internet. I mean, that's also backing to the governments and the companies that they have to take care of the data, and also the responsibility of the users to create the content that it's a good content that everybody can use it, and they don't feel like a woman, they don't feel uncomfortable, or the children is uncomfortable to be in the internet. But I understand that these are all the challenges that they are working, and we are as partnering with Tim Berners-Lee and his foundations to bring in this attention to these issues that privacy is important. And we have to create a web in a better web for our new generation that they are using the internet to be a secure and safe place and open place that everyone have a right to use it. But on the other hand, I think that this is a great tool to giving the woman and in conservative countries that they do not have access to the information, they do not have access to anything. So the internet and technology and digitalization give them a hope for their future, give them a skill, give them an access to education, to better education, and yet most importantly get financial independence. And that is a key that can change the conservative countries and men to change their view on the women's abilities.
Sie haben ja auch mit Francesco Rulli, den Sie vorhin erwähnt haben, diesen Digital Citizen Fund gegründet. Und da geht es genau darum, solche Räume zu etablieren, also ganze Technologiezentren für Mädchen und junge Frauen, wo eben Computer stehen, wo sie Kurse belegen können in Programmieren, im Bloggen, aber auch zum Beispiel eben Finanzierungsmöglichkeiten zu finden, weil Sie gesagt haben, es gibt natürlich die Schwierigkeit, dass Frauen oft nicht einmal ein eigenes Konto haben. Es ist sehr einfach für die Männer, die Verdienste der Frauen, die sie zu Hause mit ihrem Computer sozusagen verdienen, einfach abzuzweigen. Und Sie lernen den Frauen auch zum Beispiel mit Bitcoin umzugehen, also mit virtuellen Währungen.
Yes, we started the Digital Citizen Fund with one goal, to see that technology is an accessible option for everyone, especially for the women in conservative countries. I believe that everyone has a right and deserve to have equal access to education and opportunities. And with Digital Citizen Fund, we're providing such an environment for the women in Afghanistan, that they can learn about coding, social media, they learn about the business skill, the financial literacy. And then we started also with Bitcoin. It's backing again 2013, when we had a platform, as I mentioned, Women Next, to allow women to write the blogs, but we had to pay them. And one of the challenges is that many of them didn't have a bank account, or it was when you're paying the users, the families take their monies, and the money wasn't them. I mean, the women always are the person who, when they receive the money, they wanted to give to the family and to support their family. But still, if they wanted to a little bit to save for themselves, they couldn't, because some of the families taking the money from them. And we wanted to make sure in a way that the women have control of their money. So that's what we heard about the Bitcoins. And we started to bring the Bitcoin to Afghanistan and paying our users, and especially females, in a Bitcoin, because it was secure, it was fast, and they are controller and they are the owner of the money, and they could do whatever they want if they wanted to give to their families or they wanted to save for their future. And it was up to them. So that's how it started with the Bitcoins and blockchain when we, in 2013, we get involved.
Sie haben unglaublich viel Energie, ziehen ganz viele Projekte hoch. Wir haben schon von Saffron und Kaffee gehört. Jetzt geht es um die digitalen Schulzimmer, Bitcoin und so weiter. Sie haben auch ein Roboter-Team, ein Mädchenteam, das sich mit Robotik auseinandergesetzt hat, ins Leben gerufen und unterstützt. Die Bilder dieser Mädchen gingen um die Welt. Die Mädchen waren auch an einem Wettbewerb in den USA, hatten zuerst Schwierigkeiten einzureisen aufgrund von Visaproblemen. Zuletzt hat sich sogar Ivanka Trump stark gemacht für diese Visa für die Mädchen. Und sie haben tatsächlich auch eine Medaille gewonnen. Allerdings ist 10 Tage später der Vater des einen Mädchens bei einem Suizidattentat ums Leben gekommen. Gibt es Momente, wo Sie denken, diese ganzen Erfolgsgeschichten zeigen doch irgendwie auch dann nur halb, wie schwierig es ist, die Realität wirklich zu verändern?
I think that I would look at this kind of the stories and our achievement and our challenges as positive things, because when we are working in a war-torn area, we are working in a country that is half of population, or 40% still living under poverty. And women still are not seen as second citizens. So for that, I think that this kind of a story will bring the attention to the community, that they have to trust the women and they have to trust your ability, and family have also to support. I'm looking at the Afghan girls robotic team. 2 years ago, they come and because of they wanted to participate at the first robotics competition, they got the challenge twice. Their visa is denied. And then we find out that we are one of 2 countries in the world that we couldn't get the visa. And at that time, again, we used the social media because we decided to not be silent and bring our stories to the attention of the people. And social media bring the attention to the media and then attention to the people in the world. And 53 congressmen after that signed a petition. And finally, President Trump get involved and he gave the visa to the girls. But it wasn't about the story that the girls could come to the United States. It's about what happened after that. When they come back to the country, the countries that they become as a victory, a vision of a hope for a country that for centuries ignored women's ability in science and many other industries. This team brought us to the point that we have to bring the change in the technology. This team brought us in a point that we needed to understand that the mathematics and robotics teaching to the kids at this age is very important. And because of them, today, many of the Afghans changed their view on the women's abilities. And today, we have the support of the government, we have the support of the Taliban, we have the support of the private sector for this initiative, that we can do it much bigger. Bigger things. So that's I think that this kind of the story is an example that how can change everything. I have been working with so many projects and so many programs, and it has been affected the community around. And it was I think that they are. I feel that is the biggest my achievement, but I think that robotic team has been changed a lot of things. They become a symbol of a courage for thousands and millions of the kids, not only in Afghanistan, but all around of the world, that with encouragement and opportunities, anyone, anywhere can make it happen.
Und es sind vielleicht diese Vorbilder, die mehr verändern, die Geschichten, die mehr verändern, wie beispielsweise die Gesetze. Denn das afghanische Gesetz sieht ja eine Schulpflicht vor, auch für Mädchen. Und dennoch gibt es ganz viele Mädchen, die die Schule nicht besuchen, weil die Familien das nicht wollen.
Unfortunately, yes, but there also has been changed a lot with this team, because some of the families saw that and they want that their girls also be engineer. They will see that as a positive thing. And I can say that after that, the girls back, 544 female students registered their names in the robotics competition, robotics classes, and it has you can see that there are lots of changes is happening. And today, robotic team has become as a symbol of hope and unity for all Afghanistan. It's not only, we see a lot of the comments, and at least 90% of the comments are positive about them. And it hasn't happened in the past. If you look at many of other female, even entrepreneur to policymaker to the media, those working in the media, you see a lot of negative comments by men. But for this team, it has been changed. And it shows that sometimes I think that it's like a shine in darkness, and it's happening. And this team brought us to that point. And today, because of them, we are going to build in the first school of the science, technology, engineering, art, math STEM school with a focusing on AI and robotics. And fortunately, governments, Afghan president accept that. And we are going to build 5 of them in 5 zones of Afghanistan. And because of them, it's a plan that to build for the next 3 years to building a university of taking the model of MIT to focusing on high tech. And we are hoping within the next 10 years see Afghanistan the country of source of high tech rather than a country of the terror and war. And everything just start with these Afghan girls, 6 Afghan girls.
Für mich ist es nicht ganz einfach zu verstehen, wie einerseits Ihre Bildungsprojekte, die sehr eindrücklich sind, die Sie aufbauen, unterstützt werden sogar von der afghanischen Regierung, und andererseits es diese verschiedenen Gruppen gibt, auch die Taliban gibt, die immer noch dieses sehr rückständige Frauenbild haben, sage ich einmal. Und Sie haben vorhin auch gesagt, Frauen werden als Zweitklassbürger angesehen. Ist diese Gesellschaft sehr zerrissen?
Yes, I think that there are lots of the, there is a huge gap between the bigger city and the smaller city and rural area. And with the time is going to be deeper and deeper, unfortunately. And big cities, lots of things has been changed for women. They can go to the school, they can become an entrepreneur, they can go to media, working as a policymaker, working in the governments. But if you go to the rural area, still the Taliban culture is confined with the people, and the people prefer that the girls married at a young age. The people still look at the women as second citizens, and it's needed time, but also needed tools. We needed to bring not only technology and high quality of education in big city. I believe that the government should invest such things on also rural area, and they should not forget that half of the population is still living there. And if we do not invest it today, we might have a danger in the future and darkness in the future still. And I understand we talk with the Afghan presidents, with not only Afghan presidents, with some other peoples, that if Afghanistan just only focusing on the war and fighting back with the Taliban, they will lose the future of this generation, because we have half of the population that they needed the Afghan, not only governments, but policymaker and the investment on the good quality of education. We still have 40% of the population, the young generation, they don't have a job. So what we can do is, of course, investment in military is needed for today, but we also needed to think that we needed to create a strategy to working on the future generation and the work skills that they can create the job opportunities and create that an economy grows. And it's only happen if we today thinking about this generation.
Und dazu gehört eben auch Menschen eine Arbeit zu geben. Und deswegen ist es für Sie zum Beispiel wichtig, den Saffran von Frauen anbauen zu lassen, weil die Frauen auch Arbeit brauchen. Engagieren Sie eigentlich vor allem gerne Frauen, weil Sie denken, vor allem die Frauen brauchen auch Jobmöglichkeiten, oder sind die Frauen auch zuverlässigere Partnerinnen für Sie?
Both of that. Women are more trustful, they are reliable partners, and as well they are the half of the population of a community. And if today we do not invest on them, so we cannot succeed, and we cannot have grow the economy in the country. So we needed to invest in the half of the population to get a good education, get financial independence, and if a woman get a good skills, they can contribute to society, and most importantly, they contribute to their families and then society and the community. So for me is that there are lots of things for the men, a lot of opportunity for them exist, and I'm sure that the government and the community will support them. But it's what's important for me, what I can do for my generation, for the women like me and myself and my mother and my cousins. So what we can do for them is technology has helped me and education has helped me how I could change my life. And it's a time for me to give back to the community. And I prefer to working with the women and help them to reach the goals that they want and the dreams that they have in their minds. And what I do is just giving the tools. It's up to them what they want to do with their lives.
Sie geben das Werkzeug, Sie schaffen Bildungsmöglichkeiten, aber was Sie ja auch tun, ist, Sie lassen Geschichten erzählen. Sie haben jetzt schon mehrere Male Film Annex erwähnt, auch eine Initiative, mit der Sie zusammenarbeiten, also eine Plattform, auf der Frauen, aber auch Männer ihre Blogs starten können, ihre Vlogs, also Videoblogs, ihre Geschichten erzählen, Interviews hochladen. Und das erinnert mich so ein bisschen daran, dass es in der Philosophie immer schon die Tradition gab, der sogenannten narrativen Ethik. Also die Überzeugung, dass wir nicht mit Argumenten weiterkommen, sondern manchmal wirklich nur mit den Geschichten, mit den Vorbildern, mit den Träumen, mit den Visionen, die wir aber sehr plastisch werden lassen. Und in diesem Zusammenhang interessiert mich, was Sie eigentlich denken, welche Bilder von Afghanistan sich auch in unseren Köpfen ändern müssten. Weil wir haben ja im Westen auch ein bestimmtes Bild von Afghanistan. Und es gibt diesen Vorwurf des Literaturwissenschaftlers Edward Said, der gesagt hat, es gibt diesen Okzidentalismus. Wir schauen immer aus einer Idee, Orientalismus, Entschuldigung, aus einer Idee der Überlegenheit auf diese Länder. Empfinden die das so? Und glauben Sie, wir haben wirklich auch die falschen Bilder im Kopf von Afghanistan?
I think that, to be honest, that there are images that you just focusing on that probably 10 or 20%. There is a life exists in Afghanistan. There is for 34 million people who live there, and many of them are living happily. Many of them, we have our own marriage, we have our own parties, we have our own schools, we have our own hope and dreams for the futures. And unfortunately, the media is not covering that. There are lots of successful stories happening. There are lots of successful women entrepreneurs.
Wie Sie.
Yes, like me. But there are also lots of good things is happening in Afghanistan. And what we needed is that to give them a hope. We cannot get their hopes back. And unfortunately, also our media is only showed the darknesses. And darknesses is not going to help our country, our generation. We need to giving the hope and giving the futures as a shining. We cannot just say them that, and unfortunately I see lots of the Afghans left. The most smartest kids who get educated left Afghanistan. And it's not helped my country to rebuild. And what we needed today is to investment and giving a hope and working together to building our community to have a better future for ourselves. And there is a lot of smart kids in Afghanistan, a lot of talented, and with a lot of dreams and hope for tomorrow. And what I can do from my part as a citizen is to giving a tools to as many as people as I can. And I want to say also about a conference that we are going to hold in June, hopefully. It's the biggest conference in technology, innovation, art, and entrepreneurship for female young youths. And in that conference, with the exhibition of the showcasing of many of the young talented who started their own startups in different industries. There are women and the young generation who are working to building a race car. There are young generation who are working to building the robot for industrial. So this is what we needed, to focusing on that, focusing and investing on them and helping them to building their futures. We cannot just bring the war and insecurity as a reason that we have not to think about the next generation and not investment on the talent inside of Afghanistan. We don't need it that much donation, but we needed investment and giving a line to the people that they can build their own futures. They will become as a good citizen, have knowledge. We actually needed knowledge, and then we needed investment to building the startups and building in our community. And that's what we needed today.
Sie erwähnen immer wieder die Kraft der Frauen sozusagen in diesem Zusammenhang. Und darüber möchte ich mit Ihnen auch noch sprechen. Sie waren Keynote-Speakerin am World Web Forum. Und die Digitalisierung braucht natürlich Frauen wie Sie, die sich da reinschmeißen in diese ganzen neuen Bewegungen, in diesen ganzen Bereich der Innovation. Was waren die Themen, wo Sie denken, das ist die Zukunft, da müssen wir hin und da brauchen wir vor allem auch noch mehr Innovation?
First of all, I'm really thankful for the World Web Forum for bringing me here in Switzerland and give me a chance to talk about the power of imagination and the story of myself and the work that I do. But, sorry, backing to your question, what was it?
Was sind die wirklich wichtigen Themen, von denen Sie denken, die sollten wir wirklich jetzt angehen im Bereich der Digitalisierung, aus Ihrer Sicht?
I think that the most important thing is giving access. We needed to giving access to the millions of the women who do not have they are behind of the world move forward without them. Access and connectivity is the first things that we have to put in place. And the second is they created the knowledge and giving them the skills that how to use these technology devices to make a better life for themselves and improve their lives and also their communities. What I do today thinking is that to compete and be successful in 21st centuries, the countries like our country, must have access to the technology, devices, and the knowledge that changing our environment and transforming the world. So, and unfortunately, there is still not only in Afghanistan, but there is inequality access to education existed in many of the countries. If you look at the richest country and poorest country, there is a huge gap between them. We do not still have access to the information. We do not have access to internet. And there are richest countries that are thinking about the next 10 years that everything is, well, AI will control that or robots will control that. So it's a huge gap. We're talking about we needed to giving these countries also the same access.
Und diese Ängste, die Sie gerade beschreiben, das ist ja tatsächlich so, das habe ich vorhin schon erwähnt, die, sagen wir mal, Grundstimmung bezüglich der Digitalisierung ist ein bisschen in sich zusammengekracht in unseren Ländern. Ich habe den Eindruck, man hat vor allem die Ängste im Moment, über die man diskutiert. Eben die Angst vor der künstlichen Intelligenz, dass uns die Arbeit ausgehen könnte, aber auch eben die Angst vor der Überwachung. Finden Sie das alles übertrieben? Denken Sie, guckt doch mal, welche Freiheit da auf uns wartet, guckt mal, welche Möglichkeiten da bestehen?
I think that it's not that exaggerated, but also as I think that we have to look at this as an opportunity. And I'm sure that it's not going to take all the jobs, but it's created more jobs. Lots of jobs created in AI. And it's make the lives more easier for the people. But there is also, again, as a responsibility is coming with that how we use that to, if taking this kind of the jobs, how we can create the similar jobs in high tech or technology for the people. And I think I'm sure that there are lots of the leaders in tech technologies talking about that, and they are working on that, and they answered for the concern of the people. But there is the fear that I have is that the country like us, that is still people living in very traditional way, and they don't use, many of them, even 1 of 10 women in Africa, for example, they never saw a computer. We are so behind of the world moving forward without us, and that's challenging.
Und interessant ist, ich lebe in einem Land, wo die Frauen Zugang haben zum Internet, praktisch alle, und die Frauen genauso wie die Männer, aber die Tech-Branche ist immer noch sehr stark dominiert von den Männern. Nur gerade 14% aller Berufe sind von Frauen ausgeübt im Bereich der Tech-Branche. Und es gibt eine Initiative von Frauen aus der Tech-Branche, die heißt We Shape Tech. Und die betonen ganz stark, wir brauchen mehr Diversity in der Tech-Branche, weil erstens die Teams arbeiten besser, also mehr Diversity heißt auch mehr Produktivität, mehr Innovation. Aber es ist auch so, dass die Zukunft ja eine digitale sein wird. Und wenn die Frauen nicht mitziehen, dann wird die ganze Welt überzogen werden mit Produkten, die aus Männersicht entwickelt worden sind.
Yes, that's true, and I think that we needed to work on that when in Western countries like Switzerland, that at the young age the women have access to understand that the innovation and why technology is good for them, and we needed more teaching the kids at a young age, especially women, coding and engineering, and make the environment so to be excitement for them to have more female role models, that the women look at that. Okay, there is women, lots of women are in the tech or engineers, so they would be perfect to go there. And I think that because of the environment, maybe women are not comfortable to go in if they are 1 or 2 in 10 persons are the engineer. For example, in the big companies are more men than the women, so that they don't feel comfortable to go there. But if we invest in a woman tech entrepreneur, if we bring more female as role models, and we teaching the kids at a young age about coding and engineering, especially for the women, maybe we can bridge that gap. But yeah, I see that this is a problem also in the Western. But what we do in our country is that at a young age, we are trying to teaching. And I think that technology is also a great tools for the women in the conservative countries, because they can stay at home because of the cultural things, but still they can work.
Weil man überall zu Hause auch einen Computer aufstellen kann und sich einloggen ins Internet. Mich hat Lea von Bidder sehr beeindruckt. Das ist eine junge Tech-Entrepreneurin im Silicon Valley. Die hat das AVA-Band erfunden. Das ist ein Fitness-Tracker sozusagen, ein Band, mit dem man die Fruchtbarkeit bestimmen kann, und hat sozusagen auch eine Lücke geschlossen, weil interessanterweise hatte zum Beispiel das Apple-Gesundheitsband erst einmal ganz viele Daten gemessen, aber ausgerechnet die Fruchtbarkeit der Frau, die war als Tool da gar nicht installiert. Wo wir ja sehen, wenn die Frauen nicht auch Apps entwickeln, dann wird es keine Apps geben, die auf die Bedürfnisse von Frauen reagieren. Und diese Lea von Bidder, die betont allerdings auch, dass es im Silicon Valley durchaus auch Sexismus gibt und es schwieriger ist für Frauen, in diesen Branchen sich wirklich zu etablieren. Wie blicken Sie aus Ihrer Vergangenheit auf den Sexismus in unseren Ländern? Finden Sie das alles ein bisschen wehleidig und lächerlich, das, was wir als Sexismus bezeichnen?
I think that about back into the Silicon Valley's case, I hear it a lot, and probably there is some things exist there. And the good thing is with Me Too movement, it's started to talk about that, and women start to talk about that, and it might make the men to be more careful about their behavior. And back into our countries is. I think that this is a universal. This is that's a problem that we have in every male-dominated industries, that makes the woman uncomfortable feeling, so that we have less women in that area. But if we can talk about that, and we can bring these issues to attention of the policymakers, the governments, and the people, and the communities, and cooperative, it will bring a lot of change. I don't know if I have answered to your questions or it was different.
Nein, ich finde schon, dass Sie darauf geantwortet haben. Sie haben nur keine Einschätzung abgegeben, und das interessiert mich wirklich, wie Sie als eine Frau, die Afghanistan sehr gut kennt, die überhaupt viele Länder gut kennt, aber die auch in New York lebt. Sie haben ja bestimmt auch die ganze MeToo-Debatte mitbekommen, wo man ja sagen kann, endlich, und da hat sozusagen, haben die sozialen Medien den Frauen in ihrer Stimme, die sich als unterdrückt empfindet, auch die Möglichkeit gegeben, sich zu äußern. Aber gleichzeitig könnten Sie ja auch sagen, bezüglich Unterdrückung von Frauen habt ihr alle überhaupt gar keine Ahnung.
I think that we as friends, we talk about these issues a lot, and many of my friends that are living in US, they talk about this, that these are the kind of issues that they face every day, or is part of their daily life, that if the men are aggressive or their behavior are not appropriate in some of the case. And I think that, again, with social media or with Me Too movement, bringing these attentions, that we needed to bring change in change the environment for the women, and women should feel free and safe when they wanted to work, or when they even want to go to the investor and getting the investment. And unfortunately, there are some cases that men are not investing in the women if they are not responding to their requested. And what we needed is that to have more women to invest on the women, and also to make these things to be more be in attention of the policymaker. I don't know, and the cooperative should have to change. And I think that we needed more women in leadership positions to change that, and more women to invest on the women. And women should support women, that we can bring some changes and helping the men to understand their behavior.
Wenn wir über Diversity sprechen, dann sind wir immer schnell beim Thema Mann-Frau oder vielleicht auch noch Trans, aber die ganze Frage der Geschlechtergerechtigkeit. Aber es gibt ja noch andere Aspekte der Diversity, nämlich zum Beispiel die Frage, was brauchen eigentlich Menschen in anderen Ländern, in anderen Kulturen? Und ein anderes schönes Beispiel ist die App M-Pesa. Das ist eine App, mit der man ohne ein Konto zu besitzen mit dem Smartphone bezahlen kann. Die wird in Afrika sehr, sehr viel genutzt. Und was daran schön ist an dem Beispiel, ist zu zeigen, dass die Entwicklung von Apps, wenn die wirklich passgenau auf die Bedürfnisse der Menschen geschieht, kann den Menschen wirklich ganz neue Freiheitsräume eröffnen. Ich frage mich einfach und würde gerne Ihre Meinung dazu hören. Wie groß ist die Gefahr, dass eigentlich wieder Investoren, die schon sehr, sehr viel haben, schon sehr reich sind, in diese Länder reingehen, Apps entwickeln und wiederum das ganze Geld absahnen und nicht von unten heraus wie eine Grassroot-Bewegung sozusagen die Apps entwickelt werden?
I think that investors, when they go to the different the countries to invest and they want that their apps, it's people use that. If they don't do it based on what culture needs and what the people's needs, they cannot be successful for longer term. They might be for the short time, but they needed that to working, investing on the local apps, I guess, because people who are local and they are more diverse and they understand what they needed and what's their problem and what their challenges is. And unfortunately, it's not only about app. We see it even with the money that come from international communities. They make their decision. They think that this is what they think that is needed for the people, and they bring it up. And sometimes it's not working because they don't understand the culture barriers. They don't understand what exactly a woman needs or what exactly the man needs in that society. So to invest on that or bring a program or projects there. And diversity is very important because if we bring the women in the table and they understand, like for example, I do understand what color I want and what I needed today. And I do need that it's created more innovations if you bring the women in the table because they understand what they needed and what is really necessary for the society as perspective of a woman. And that's bringing more innovative ideas, it's created more innovative ideas, more innovative products. And for us, for example, what we do in our program, when we bring more women, we see that women are more in details and they working on the stuff that we didn't think, or our men didn't think about that because they think about general stuff and then they, okay, let's do that. But the women bring it, oh no, this isn't an issue, and then they can come up with good integrated products for our community or society. And it's similar in everywhere. That's what we needed to have a diverse group. Not only women, but also minority and disabled people. They have to all come together and create an environment that they can make a decision and bring in more innovative products, because what we needed that today.
Das ist eigentlich der alte Begriff der Glokalisierung, Globalisierung und lokales Denken müssen zusammenfinden. Ihr Plädoyer, ich nehme das sehr gerne als Schlusswort. Ich danke Ihnen sehr, dass Sie bei uns zu Gast waren. Roya Mahboob, danke sehr.
Thank you for having me here. Thanks.